Hey guys, what it is, what it always is. You guys may know me from such things as my creepypasta button down Indiana, as the Foxville County murder, as the man who wears a shih tzu. Today, as my son narrates his own crap, as you can tell out there, I'm getting down to business, if you will. Very important topic of the day, Mr. Cognitive Burnout, COG, as I like to call him. Came out with a very serious video today discussing mental illness and what it takes for people out there to do the things they do. Like the shooting yesterday in the church down in Texas. Like the shooting at the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. Shooting after shooting after shooting. They used to be happening on foreign shores, but they're coming home to roost. COG's asking the question, what can we do? Who do we need to contact to get this sucker changed around? So I thought, let's take a step back and look into this darn mental illness conundrum, this stigmata, or stigma, if you will. Let's look at some cold hard numbers and some facts and see if we can be enlightened on this. Hopefully there's some people out there that like to hear statistics and want to know the eye-opening numbers on the situation, because it's pretty darn grim. So I got my statistics today from a couple sources. The first one we're going to go into is from NAIMI, or NAMI, whatever you call them. NAMI. Sorry, I always get that mixed up. I always had that extra I. So let's go through some statistics, shall we? According to them, 43.8 million adults experience mental illness in a given year. 1 in 5 adults experiences a mental illness. Nearly 1 in 25 adults, which is around 10 million, in America live with this serious mental illness, your boy included. 1/2 of all chronic medical illness, mental illness that is, begins by the age of 14. You see, that's about right when mine started kicking in, about my 7th or 8th grade year in junior high, so about exactly around 14. 3/4 by the age of 24. Talks about the prevalence of mental illness in the diagnosis. 1 in 100, equaling about 2.4 million people in the good old US of A suffer from schizophrenia. My boy Blursy is a prime example of this. 2.6% of the population, or 6.1 million people, suffer from the old bipolar disorder. Your boys included, I raise my hand. 6.9%, or 16 million American adults, suffer with major depression. And 18.1, or 42 million American adults live with anxiety disorders. Okay, as we go through that, it's important to note that a lot of mentally ill sufferers suffer across the scale. You see, of the 4 items, your boy suffers from the last 3. So this study doesn't talk about that so much. Let's go into the consequences of mental illness. According to NAMI, 10.2 million approximate adults have reoccurring mental health and addiction disorders. So you get a little alcohol in there. You get a little drug action in there. And why do people do it? Let's see. Maybe to numb the pain. You see, maybe a lot of these people wouldn't be addicts if they weren't struggling every freaking day of their life just to stay alive. Sometimes people need to get away from the pain. A little Band-Aid on the wound, if you will. 26% of the homeless adults that stay in shelters live with a serious mental illness. Now, to me, that number seems a little low. I would imagine it's probably up around 50% myself. Approximately 24% of state prisoners have a recorded history of mental illness. Now, I also don't believe this one for 1 second. 24%, I bet you it's more like 70%. The impact of said diseases and mental illness conditions. Depression is number one, uno, in the world population for cause of disability worldwide. It's the major contributor to the global burden of the disease. And as I said before, your boy has depression to go along with the bipolar, to go along with anxiety. Serious mental illness cost America $193.2 billion. Yes, I said with a B, billion lost earnings every year. Your boy contributes so much to that because you see, with my mental illness, I can barely work if I can at all. I've worked 2 hours, counted 2 hours this year. 2 hours. 2 weeks, sorry. A lot more than 2 hours because I was working like 13 freaking hour days. Back to the topic at hand. 90% of those who die from suicide have a severe mental illness. And that number could also be higher. Let's go to one of my favorites. Treatment in America. If we could call it that. Right, Cog, my boy? Nearly 60% of adults with a mental illness don't receive mental health services for the previous year. I don't believe that number is probably right as well. I would imagine it's probably more along the lines of 85 to 90 because most men also do not seek treatment. 50% of youth aged 8 to 15 don't receive mental health services for the previous year. I also believe this number is way low because if you think about it, how many kids want to go into a counselor and say, "Yo, Holmes, I have mental illness. Can you please stigmatize me and make the kids laugh at me?" Don't think it's happening. African American, Hispanic Americans use mental health services about half the rate of the whites in the past year, and Asian Americans about 1/3 of the rate. I'm guessing this is a cultural gig where they're looked upon as more weak, maybe, than in the white population. I'm just guessing there. So, there's some facts thrown out to you. I got a little paragraph about all this media crap, all this information that goes out to everybody in the world population from the newspaper because they always get the story right now, don't they? So, a fine man named Otto Wall in 2003 wrote a little paper about this issue, and it was a couple pages long. I'm going to give you the rundown, the summary, if you will, of how he put it. So this was News Media Portrayal of Mental Illness, American Behavioral Scientist. And this was his paragraph to discuss. Newspapers are a primary source of information about a variety of topics, including mental illnesses. A study of 1999 newspapers revealed that dangerousness is the most common theme of stories about mental illnesses. In contrast, stories of recovery or accomplishment were found to be rare. The ratio of negative to positive stories involving mental illness decreased between 1989 and 1999, but negative stories continue to far outnumber the positive ones. So, Mr. Cog, in your question, and what do we do? Who do we get to for help? I think the proof is in the pudding. We need to get the darn newspaper to get everybody on the same page that mental illness is not always about going out murdering, plundering, and killing people. That most mentally ill people actually are the victims of violent crimes, and that, as Mr. Wall states, not enough stories about the good things that mentally ill people do, because they're mentally ill people that are wonderful all over the world, doing amazing things to help out the world. So, in conclusion, in summary of the story from the man in the shit suit, we need to turn around the media. We need to help them understand that mentally ill people aren't always out there committing the crimes, plundering, killing, be naughty. That mentally ill people are the victim more often than the perpetrator. Hope y'all good. Hope you found some interesting tidbits in the story today. It's a sad story. It's the story of mental illness stigma that exists in our world everywhere you look. It's in the media. It's in the movies. It's in daily conversation. And unfortunately, it's also in the job world, the real world as I like to call it. It's a harsh sucker out there where they are not always so kind to the mentally ill. And I will go into that topic in more detail in the days to come. This was a little general throw out of information for y'all to get us started. And we will continue from here. Nothing but peace, love, and respect. Word to everybody in the group. Lonnie, we with you, man. 110% with your pops. We'll leave it at that. Take care, y'all. Love you.